Welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Himes here to launch things off with my friend, Bob Stewart. Bob, how are you today?
Man, what did you do to your voice? You gave it a little extra there.
Just giving it a little, there's a new health program going on in my world, Bob, and I've just got some newfound energy.
That's right. Are you fasting right now?
Well, not literally at the moment, as I just finished eating something, but I am in intermittent fasting program.
Intermittent fasting. Tell me a little bit about that. What's that all about?
16-8. You eat for 8 hours and you don't eat for 16.
Really?
That's the long and short of it. You don't need to change what you're eating, although I have, because my coach has changed what I'm eating.
Wait, do I hear about this on the 15-point plan if I was listening to that?
Absolutely can. There's an episode coming in a few weeks. We just started recording it. There'll be an episode coming in a few weeks talking about intermittent fasting.
Well, I could tell you got a little bit of extra energy.
I didn't think this stuff worked, but I guess you noticed.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into today's. We're not talking health.
Okay.
Because at Win, Make, Give, it's health,
wealth,
leadership, and legacy.
Okay.
Let's go into the wealth part today, Bob. And we did a while back something called the Wealth Series.
When was that, by the way? The beginning of COVID, Dave? We're March or April of 2020, right?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to tell you, Bob, if we scrolled back through all of our episodes, I'm going to find it for all of our people. There they are. It's episode 38 through 45 in season 1.
By the way, if you are just joining us, this is your first podcast you've ever heard, It's the 10th, but you've never been through the Wealth series,
stop
back. Literally, stop right now. Dave, they shouldn't even be listening to this one, right?
No.
Right back to
although
episode
this
38.
one will be a good one for them, Bob, if they want to stick with us. But yes, we recommend you either scroll back to the episodes of the Wealth series in season 1, or just go to winmakegive.com/wealth. It'll take you right to those episodes, so you'll have access to that and the downloads.
Okay.
But that sets us up for what we want to talk about today, Bob. Because one of the things we go over in the Wealth series is knowing where we stand today. Ben kind of calls it a reality check. And in English, that's our net worth tracker. Now, you've been doing this a long time, since the first time Ben started even talking about this years ago. And I want to walk through the exercise of doing your net worth tracker with you today for our audience.
Okay.
The numbers that Bob shares might not be genuine. He might make up some numbers, just so you know. We're not going to get you into Bob's banking situation. Yet, we're going to get into what that process looks like, Bob, as you do this, because you've been pretty amazed over, how long have you been doing this now?
So I did it for 2 years. I've been doing it for 5.5 years, but I did it for 2 years. My wife and I did it for 2 years. And then we, for some reason, and thinking, I don't even know why, by the way.
COVID showed up.
We stopped for about a year. And then we've been doing it again now for about 2 years.
Okay.
Year and a half, we were doing it, stopped for a year, something like that. Yeah, so we've been doing it, I've been doing it pretty consistently again, basically since COVID started.
Okay.
So coming up on 2 years here.
So, Bob, just give us, before we even get into it, give us the biggest aha takeaway from 5 years ago to today, and even include if there was one in that kind of year gap.
I think the biggest thing for me, Chad, has been watching the steady progression. There's a little bit of an addiction in that, in watching the numbers, right? And look, and there have been months, by the way, where the number went the other way, which motivated us to want to not have that happen again, right? Sure. And some of those are around big purchases we made, or a big vacation that we went on or something, right? And you take a little dip, but so I think more than anything, it's been, I'm a little bit surprised at just addiction's such a negative connotation to it, but there's a compulsion to want to do it once you're doing it month over month over month, and you see that improvement.
Okay. So tracking has made a difference, because as you say, there have been months you've gone down even.
Yep.
Yet because you're tracking it, you're aware of that and able to make plans over the next month or two to recover and put yourself back on track.
Yeah, and look, some of these things, we knew that was coming, right?
You knew you were going away. You knew you were buying a car.
You guys talk shit about me on this on the podcast when I leave for vacation. So we went on a pretty nice one to Hawaii recently and went to the Aulani Resort, Disney. It was expensive. And this was probably the first time we've ever done a vacation of that nature. there was a little bit of a dent that month, right?
That's okay. You had the opportunity to do it because you had been tracking and creating the wealth.
That's right.
Okay, so Bob, I don't know if you even have this math. Again, folks, I didn't cue Bob on what we were going to talk about today. I kind of just wanted to put him on the spot for this. If you can remember the first time you did it versus the most recent time you did it, do you know what your growth has been?
Significant.
Like, have you 100% increased your wealth? Have you 5 times increased your wealth? Have you just added a little bit to your wealth? You have any ballpark?
5x, Chad.
Okay. So you have 5x your wealth just because you were tracking.
Now, look, some of this is like, but through no fault of our own, right? I mean, we own a couple of houses. Like the real estate market in Seattle is ridiculous. Yep. But the thing is, I think that, and this maybe gets back to your first question, like what surprised you? I don't know that I would have realized necessarily, like, before we started doing this, I think we had a lot more consternation around money. My wife makes a really good living. I make a fine living. But we were not intentional with our money, right? We had enough in the bank at the end of the day, at the end of the month, right? There was no intentionality with our money at all. So this is really, I think the reason that Ben has us track our net worth is in any other game. And I look, retirement, money, it's a game in many ways, right? Yep. And in no other game that you play, I played a game last night with my son. We played air hockey. We have an air hockey table, right?
Who won?
My 6-year-old, I let him win.
Oh, okay.
Which I always told myself I'd never do, but I love I love to see how proud he is when he beats me.
I never let my daughter win, even if it was
I know. I always said I was never going to do it. Listen, when we get out in the physical sports like basketball, I pound the crap out of those little guys. But air hockey, I let him win last night. But we kept score. Right? Like everything you do, if it's a game where you're trying to achieve something in it, you keep score. And so I think for my entire life, I never really kept score. I'd look at my bank account. I knew how much money was in my bank account, but I didn't know how much we were worth.
But didn't you ever find that when your bank account hit a certain amount, you just spent it because you had it?
Oh,
so you made that purchase of something stupid?
Before I met my wife, that was basically the story of my life. Yeah.
Right. That financial thermostat that was kind of on you that said, hey, when I have more than this much money, I need to spend it because I don't deserve more than this.
I got this much left at the end of the month, pair of shoes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it goes to something different.
So you're doing this net worth tracking. How often do you track your net worth?
Once a month. We do it every month, and we do it middle of the month. And I honestly, from the Wealth series, I don't remember if Ben gave a suggestion on that.
Bob, I would think as long as our audience is consistent, right? It's like you don't weigh yourself first thing in the morning and then the next day near the end of the day and think you're going to get even comparison.
Yeah,
so if you're doing middle of the month,
we pay our mortgage. We like to pay all of our bills are mostly being paid up, in the beginning of the month, right? And so we just take that temperature check really at mid month. We'll just find a weekend that's somewhere. We generally will do it on a Sunday night.
Okay.
Chad.
That's what I was going to ask you. That it's not a specific plan. It's a general.
Yeah, it's not like we're going to do it on the third Sunday of every month. It's my wife and I we have a routine where at the beginning of the month we kind of look like, well, what's the month look like? What do we have? What are the weekends look like? Yep. And we just plot in there which one of those. It's generally mid month. Sometimes it's that. Depending on the way the weeks fall, right? Sometimes it's a little bit earlier, sometimes a little bit later, but we'll just pick one of those weekends mid-month, and we know we're going to do it on a Sunday evening.
How long does it take?
Now it's pretty fast. It doesn't take us any more than 30 minutes.
You remember what it used to take?
It used to, in the very beginning, and then even when we cranked back up again, I had to go find logins for my friggin' Vanguard account. And I remember the first time I tried to get in my Vanguard account, I still to this day can't get my stupid Vanguard app to recognize my password. But so now, in the beginning, it was a lot longer. The first couple of times it was much longer because I don't even know where I'm going to look for this stuff.
Okay, so folks, if you're planning to start your net worth tracking, you might want to make a list of all of those things, and if you did mid-month like Bob did, or you did the end of the month, maybe all month you want to start tracking, grabbing, okay, one day I'm going to find this, one day I'm going to find that, so that you have all of those numbers and ready to go when you get to the end of the month.
Yeah, for sure. My wife had an old 401. It took us a number of months to track down her old work 401k, which then encouraged us to get it transferred. And so there's a lot of that kind of stuff that, look, in many ways, Chad, we're fortunate to be able to have that. My wife has an old work IRA.
Correct.
A lot of people don't have those kind of things floating around, right? And we've never needed to pull it, dive into it or whatever. So in the beginning, those first couple of months, it was a much heavier lift than it's become today.
Okay, so now it's about a half hour because you've done it regularly enough. It's easy to pull all the things.
Yep, super. Okay. We've got almost everything I can get to now on an app on my phone, except for frickin' Vanguard. If you're listening, Vanguard, by the way,
we are not sponsored by anybody, and specifically not Vanguard, apparently, according to Bob. Okay, talk to us about the night. I mean, is it we wait for the kids to go to bed, or is it just, hey, distract them? Is it we open a bottle of wine and we sit down and do this? Has it become some sort of routine and ritual? Or is it let's get this Band-Aid ripped off?
Let's get this done. My if anybody who's met my wife, she's like, if there's something to be done, we're getting it done. So it's not a sit back and kick the feet up. It's like, let's get this done. And we do put the boys to bed because we do want to be focused on it. It is an important thing that we've got some goals kind of tied to this net worth, and we've got different, like we're looking right now for an investment property, and it's kind of what we can buy is based on what this thing's telling us, right? How much money we have saved for that down payment. So we just kind of, for us, it's mechanical. We do it. The boys go to bed. It's get the numbers, plug them in here. There is for us a little bit of a ritual around being done with it. Right? There's a little bit of like, okay, cool, we got that done, and we'll go in and we've got a show or a couple shows that we watch, and it's kind of this like, I don't know, it almost feels like a weight off your shoulders type of a thing that we got that, cool, and look, we've known now when you get in more of a habit of this, like we knew when we took that vacation that like the next one was going to, be a little different, and it wasn't actually that bad. The real estate prices in this area are really so crazy that if you're, it's cool to watch though. It is, I don't know. I guess before doing this, Chad, I never really thought, I didn't think we were in as good a position as we actually are, which again we're very fortunate to be in that position. But I think it's been an intentional thing over the last number of years.
I think a lot of people don't know how good a position they might be in, or don't understand how easy it might be to get out of the tight or poor position they find themselves in when they look and realize, oh, if I just paid this car off, bam, look what happens to my net worth. Or, oh, if I paid this down.
There's also power in the incremental of it, right? The month to month, even when there's those little hiccups, right? There is that power of looking at it over a year and going, okay. Like, it could be, month over month where you're not seeing massive changes for the most part, right?
No. But again, you look at a scale every day, you're not going to see massive changes day after day after day. But then you look back and do the math and go, oh my gosh, I just dropped 20 pounds.
Yeah. Right? So when you look, especially looking back now to what it was, the very first time we did it 5 years ago or whatever that was, it's. Do
you celebrate the journey? Like, do you have milestones like, hey, when our net worth is X, or when our net worth hits this, or when we double our net worth, have you acknowledged any of those things, or is it just we just keep going?
That's a good question. We've got some. There are some like right now we're looking to buy a
investment property. You mentioned.
Yeah, but it's an Airbnb / we can use it for a vacation home, right? Like
this is still an investment property.
Yeah, it's an investment property because we won't. We still. But we want to have some place to take our boys and kind of and raise them, right? Like on the weekends, not every weekend, but whenever they're good. You hear that, boys? Whenever you're good. But so there's some things like we have some pretty big markers in there, Chad. Right. We know when we get a certain amount saved for the down payment on that thing, then we can go and buy that thing. We don't do much around, we're not high-fiving at the intervals necessarily.
It is what it is, and you move on.
Yeah, and look, again, I think maybe that would have been, if I would have been doing this at a different time in my life, I think I probably would have been more apt to like probably before we had kids, if I'm being honest. I think my wife and I probably would have.
Do you hear that, boys?
No, we just would have celebrated a little bit different or been a little bit more, maybe hitting certain milestones. Say, we'll go on vacation if we get to this point, honey, but I don't know. I'm late enough in life now that we're just kind of nose to the grindstone on this stuff.
Okay, so Bob, what forms are you? I mean, are you scribbling on a little piece of paper somewhere? How are you doing all of this?
We do it on a Google Sheet.
Okay.
And we actually, you can find this Google Sheet if you go to winmategive.com. There's a resources drop down. Go to download resources. Just throw your name and your email address in there, and you can literally download. Once you get to that page, there's the net worth tracker on there, and you can download it. And they offer it on winmategive.com in a couple of different formats. You can get it as a Excel sheet, or you can get it as a Google Sheet. And there's even a basic net worth tracker, and then there's an advanced net worth tracker. And my wife and I use the advanced net worth tracker just because it's got, we have a little bit more advanced finances, I guess, things like stocks and bonds, securities, treasury bills, on and on and on. Investments, and you can really get in here and break your liabilities and your investments and different things down. Okay. So I think the basic net worth tracker is probably just as good for anybody, but I like the other one a little bit better.
Okay. And what kind of things are you therefore tracking? Like, what should everybody start preparing for if they don't have the net worth tracker in front of them right now? What should they go start rounding up or looking up so they're ready when they want to do this?
I'll break this down for you. It's got a couple of different asset classes, right? So you've got cash as an asset. So that's things like
that's all the money that's in the bank plus shoved under your mattress or
saving
wherever
accounts.
You're hiding it.
Yep. I'm definitely counting my kids' piggy banks, right? But things like life insurance, surrender, cash value, surrender, like that's one that in the beginning, I think there was probably a number of months I didn't even think about that one.
Yep.
Right. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. We could actually sell that life insurance. So there's checking, savings, any like CDs, life insurance, like literally cash that you have. My wife is one of these people that likes to keep a certain amount of cash in the home. Nobody knows where I live, I hope.
Right. Don't put the address.
It's not very much. It's like $100. Like, don't even worry about it. We've got security systems, by the way, but
he's got 2 kids. You're not getting in there.
And then there's an investments bucket, right? So things like stocks, bonds, mutual funds, retirement, friggin' Vanguard, treasury bills, any kind of like investment type stuff. Then there's a property section,
okay,
right?
So any homes you own.
Yeah, so like that one for us is like Ben will be pissed if he hears it. We just use Zillow. I know, but like we'd probably get a better real estate market valuation on our home.
Sure. But as long as you're being consistent month
we're
after
just
month after month,
consistently
you'll
using
be
that
wrong.
tracker.
You'll be consistently wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I'm not going to go sell my house for whatever Zillow says it's worth, right? But it gives us a quick, easy sense of what the market and what our home's value is.
Yep.
One that I mean, being quite honest, like the value of our car, like we don't go look up Kelley Blue Book every time. We've done that once or twice, and then we just kind of adjust the value of the car down over months. We don't owe anything on our car, so that thing just kind of gradually we just adjust the value down. We just depreciate it down. But other property stuff like silver, gold. I don't hold any gold or silver, but funny enough, the jewelry, art, and collectibles, Ben jokes about his fine taxidermy or whatever.
Yes.
And we have a running joke here about my Jordans.
Yep.
And my wife's always giving me a hard time. I do count those, but I only count the ones I've never worn because there is actually a market for those. There's a website called StockX. Like I could go on there tomorrow and sell some of these shoes. Worst case
scenario, you could sell
so I do
shoes.
track some of those collectible. I got a bunch of baseball cards. I don't track that stuff necessarily, but I could. We don't.
Okay.
And then there's some other things that are actually pretty hard to track. There's like some stock options and some different things that we just kind of sit there. We don't really have an assigned a value to them necessarily. So, but they're like private stock options. So that's I think if we were like trying to go get a loan from a bank or something against our net worth, we'd probably try to figure out how to assign value to those, but we don't necessarily do that here.
Okay.
So that's the asset side. The liability side, we, again, super fortunate, and the 100% owe this to my wife, just like I think you do, Chad, and a lot of your financial success in your world was, you weren't the best guy with your finances back in the day, right? And your wife's probably made you a little bit better than that. Mine too. We don't have a lot of liabilities. Obviously, we have loans on our homes.
Yep.
But that's about it.
And that's easy to track because you're getting your mortgage statement every month.
Yeah. And so we'll go in there and pull the mortgage statement up. And, and in fact, the mortgages on the homes we own happen to be with the same bank that we keep. So that's just kind of one login. It's like I'm getting,
there you go.
Getting the checking accounts, savings accounts, the mortgage amounts. And that's kind of one swoop through that place.
Okay. So now you've tracked your assets, you track your liabilities, and folks, that's whatever you owe. Credit cards, house, car, all those things that you owe money on. And Bob, then you just sit there with a calculator and go to work?
Well, no, I don't even have to do that. All I got to do is plug it into the net worth tracker, and it does all the calculations for me. So I don't know. Well, I feel like I should give credit to somebody who built this. Was it Bryce or one of the people in our organization here built this net worth tracker? So you literally just go in there and start plugging the shit in. Like, shout out to Josiah, Bryce, somebody. I don't know who it was, but
I'm giving Dave all the credit.
All right, Dave did it. Awesome. He's not rejecting the credit. I don't see him shaking his head at all, Chad. So yeah, we just go throw it in here, and there's even a place on the summary. Like there's got all these different tabs, and you can add it all in there, and then it'll summarize it, and then just month over month we can see it, tracking in here month over month, so you can see what that number is.
Okay. Now, I wanted to
it's even got a friggin' chart in here. Like, I'm looking at it. I can see the month that we dipped down. When
you're watching the graphs.
And all it's graphed stuff, out and everything. So
okay, Bob. In our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/win-make-give, and we hope that everybody out there is a member of the group and participates in the group. Don't just join the group. Come on in. We're asking questions. We're sharing even more after each episode. Probably once every month, we get a posting that shows up from somebody. I just wanted to share a few, and I won't necessarily put the names.
Although they've put their own names out there.
Yes, absolutely, of course, right? But one post we got here said, thanks in parts to the Wealth series. That's when we started tracking net worth. So that's about a little over a year ago.
Yep.
Right? We are up almost 26% over last quarter and 702% in a year. Right? So, folks, that's what we're talking about from the Wealth series, where we talk about how to increase your income, how to save better, how to prepare for retirement, how to do all this stuff. Numbers are changing. Here was a recent post we got. Wanted to share, my wife and I are committed to tracking and growing our net worth and revenue. Our current net worth grew by 59.4% year over year. So we were able to invest in, and they started listing some other things that they were purchasing.
Look, I think, Chad, like this net worth tracker is one thing, right? But it's not like the habits from the Wealth series are what
fill in these
informs
blanks.
this net worth tracker, right? Yeah. It's like, I'll just give you a couple of examples. When we went through the Wealth series, my wife and I did it with you guys. We built the Wealth series, right? Yes. And so I was. But my wife was a little bit resistant to doing it. Like, we had pretty good financial habits, and we were doing the net worth tracker before the Wealth series. So we've been doing it for a while. We'd fallen off, but when I finally got her to buy in to do I'm like, honey, just please listen to this. Like, let's, we've got some goals, and I think we could get there faster, because it's not like we weren't, we couldn't see the goals happening, but they weren't. I felt like maybe if we really dedicate ourselves to this stuff, we could accelerate it.
Sure. Maybe you'd go on less trips and be here more often.
No, by the way, we figured out a way to not have to do that.
Stay tuned for some future episodes where Bob will be missing again.
I mean, can I just tell you that Universal has the best Halloween haunt? If you've never been to Universal Studios for a thing called Halloween Haunt and you like Halloween at all, oh my goodness, it's amazing. So I will be gone here pretty soon. But it's the philosophies in the Wealth series that I think allowed us to really accelerate our net worth. I'll give you an example. Like, for us, the expenses side was a really big deal.
Okay.
Like, we were like, we were eating out ourselves to death or something. I don't know what you'd say.
Sure, however you'd say
right?
that. Yeah.
Like lunch here, a dinner there, and like when you step back and look at that, like on a monthly scale.
Yep.
like we realized we had to make some changes, you know. And my wife's an amazing cook, by the way. And she does dinner all the time, and on top of raising the boys and having an amazing job. And honey, I love you. But you don't realize. I had no idea, Chad.
Sure.
Like I had no idea.
I mean, you got to figure you go out for dinner or lunch, it's $50 to $100 you're dropping each time you go, at least.
Yeah.
Right. And
we
now
don't
you
even
start to
drink
say
anymore either. Like I know when I was in my 20s, like it was a lot more than that, but we don't. It's expensive, right? And you add that up over, you know, you're doing it 5, 6, 8 times a week all of a sudden. Because my wife and I both work from home, so we'll go have lunch or, you know. So it was really getting a handle on our expenses,
right?
More than anything, like.
So the thing that made your net worth tracker jump the most wasn't you went and bought something that then tripled in value, or it's not some stock you bought, although that'll contribute to it, but it was actually we saved like crazy and realized how much we were spending on other stuff we don't need.
Yeah. You know, we had gone back and we were looking at our different bills, and my wife's pretty good about this stuff when we're focused on it. She's really good about it. And she started saying, well, how come our Comcast bill's $188? Like it didn't used to be $180. It used to be $100. Like what happened here, right? And you start to, I don't know, those things creep on you. You don't even realize it, right? All of a sudden you look back and you're like, oh my God, we wasted $1,000 on this Comcast bill that somehow just crept up on us. We didn't even realize.
Yeah, the promotion ended. They don't tell you, and all of a sudden it goes up. Yeah. That's why every 6 months I call Comcast. Every 6 months I call my cell phone provider. Every 6 months I call all of those, and I'm ready to renegotiate or leave.
Yeah. And it works.
What's the new promo, right? If you do it with Sirius Radio, they'll give you the new promo every time. Otherwise, it's like quadruple the price if you don't.
Yeah. So we actually cut our, I don't know, what do they call it? We
cut the cord?
Yeah. Yep. We can't get rid of, well, I'm on the verge. Comcast, I will have you know, I'm on the verge.
When you figure out how to get rid of internet,
we got rid of cable, right? So we still have Comcast internet because it was the only thing available. Now we have Ziply fiber, by the way. But so that's the next little move. And these are small moves, right? But like we're going to go from, you know, $105, it was still ridiculous just for internet from Comcast, by the way. And it's going to go to, you know, like $32 a month or something.
Right.
So we're going to save another $70 a month. But over this year, Chad, that's going to be $1,000, right? Or whatever it's going to be. For us, it was this net worth tracker it's a big deal. It allows us to know that we're winning and kind of see the trajectory. But it's really the principles of the wealth series that are informing this thing.
Look, let me put it to you like this, everybody. If you've gotten any value from Ben Kinney's trainings over the years he's been willing to share, if you've gotten any value from the Win, Make, Give podcast, even if it's about health, leadership, legacy, the other pieces, nothing makes Ben happier than to hear the success you're having in your financial worlds. So if you would do the net worth tracker and start sharing in our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/win-make-give, your growth month over month, quarter over quarter, year over year, whatever it is, that's the way you say thank you to a guy that if you say thank you to, he just walks away. You tell Ben how learning from the Wealth Series has helped you triple your net worth, double, whatever it's going to be. That's the way you make an impact. Bob, you do this really well, and you've been doing it for a long time. So give us one last thought on the net worth tracker and the value of everybody out there doing it.
I think at my nature, I'm a competitive person, and this allows my wife and I to compete against ourselves. You know, and I think if you want to win in your finances, you want to win in your wealth, like you have to have a scoreboard. And for us, this is our scoreboard. Real quick, you said the thing about Ben. You know, Chad, we have thousands and thousands of people went through the Wealth Series.
Yep.
And every day somebody's finding that thing and going through it. Yep. This is only as good as the action you take on it, right?
Amen.
Any training you've ever been to, any mentor you've ever had, any podcast episode from us that you've ever listened to, it's only as good as the action you take against it. So I would really encourage you guys, like, start doing this. And I'll be the first one to admit, like, I didn't realize how dramatically it could change your arc, but it has.
All right. So while we're working on updating it and bringing you some new content or adding some new contact and some exciting other news around the Wealth series. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you. Head over to winmakegive.com/wealth. You can get the links right to the episodes there. You can download the resources that Bob's talking about there. You can come join us in our Facebook group. You can attach from the website right to the Facebook group and share with us how your net worth is going. We want to hear from each and every one of you, and we wish you huge growth in your net worth. Until our next episode, remember, do good.